Imagine standing in the mud, holding an iron sword, staring up at a monster from legend. Your weapon strikes the creature's scales and shatters instantly. Against the massive, uncontrollable forces of the universe, physical tools have reached their limit. To answer this psychological helplessness, ancient cultures across the globe developed a metaphysical armory. They conceptualized weapons that could defy physics and confront the impossible. These stories eventually formed a library of impossible tools, each one designed to answer a specific human fear. These mythic weapons functioned as survival tools. Ancient societies used narrative to impose order on a world that appeared entirely random. The first wing of the armory contains the tools of the sky and sea gods. These weapons allow deities to manipulate the physical environment. This is Poseidon's Trident. The ancient Greeks used this three-pronged spear to rationalize the sudden, devastating arrival of earthquakes and tsunamis. This schematic represents Mjölnir, the Norse warhammer. Designed to shatter mountains, it was a tool of immense kinetic energy. However, its handle is disproportionately short, the result of the trickster Loki interfering with the dwarven smiths during forging. Then there is the Rui Jingu Bong, the magical staff of Sun Wukong. It began its history as a massive iron pillar used to pin down the oceans and measure the depths of the sea. These elemental weapons gave a face and a name to the destructive power of nature, allowing people to quantify the environment they inhabited. The weapons in this section of the armory alter reality itself to grant a divine right to rule. Excalibur is the primary symbol of political stability and rightful kingship in Arthurian legend. It functions as an unyielding test for the nation's true leader. The myth also includes a magically enchanted scabbard. Tales suggest that while Arthur wore it, he was immune to blood loss, regardless of his injuries in battle. Japan's Kusanagi no Tsurugi validates the emperor's right to rule through its very mystery. It is a sword within the imperial regalia that remains perpetually wrapped and unseen, serving as proof of an unbroken imperial line. Perseus carried the harp, an adamantine sickle sword. He used this specific blade to decapitate the Gorgon Medusa, a monster whose gaze turned any living creature to stone. In Norse myth, Odin wields the spear Gungnir. Its runic enchantment ensures it strikes any target it is thrown at, making it a physical representation of an inescapable destiny. By placing these weapons in the hands of kings, ancient societies shifted the bloody reality of political transition into the realm of divine will and unavoidable fate. We now enter the final wing of the armory, home to weapons conceptualized for inescapable mass annihilation. The Gay Bolg is a spear from Celtic mythology that inflicts fatal, irrevocable damage. Once it enters a victim's body, the spearhead erupts into dozens of jagged barbs that cannot be removed. The scale shifts entirely with the Astras of Hindu mythology. These transcend physical metal, existing as missiles of energy summoned from the heavens. The Brahmastra represents the peak of this destructive power. It is an ancient mythological equivalent to a spiritual nuclear bomb, capable of ending all of creation. These weapons are not swung, they are summoned through spiritual discipline and specific spoken mantras. This visualization shows the compression of sound into a point of destructive energy. Ancient Vedic texts explored the weight of these world-ending tools long before the atomic age. They visualize the terrifying consequences of releasing a power so vast that no one would be left to claim victory. If we look past the violence of these stories, we can see how they impacted the everyday lives of the people who believed in them. Historical evidence shows these hammers were common domestic amulets. Vikings wore them to seek safety and fertility, viewing the storm god's weapon as a shield against everyday chaos. The legacy of the Arthurian myth rests on the establishment of a cultural framework for the rule of law. Excalibur provided a visual anchor for the transition from conflict to centralized peace. Similarly, the catastrophic scale of the Astraris served as a philosophical warning about the immense moral burden of holding absolute power. The true power of this cosmic armory resides in human imagination. It's our ability to build narratives that turn formless terror into something we can finally face.